Dishonoring a check and means of payment continued.
I'm glad you're back. I can't wait to hear about why checks can be dishonored.
To dishonor a check simply means that the bank will refuse to pay the money written on the check. This can happen for quite a number of reasons.
Such as?
Well, if the check is post-dated, for example, this simply means that the check is presented to the drawee before the maturity date.
I'm still floating.
In other words, the check is written by the drawer for a date in the future.
That's better.
A drawer may also write a check, and yet there is not enough money in his account. Naturally, you don't expect the bank to honor such a check, because where is the bank going to get the money to give to the payee?
That makes sense.
And when talking about the contents of a check, did I mention that the amount to be paid must be written on it?
Yes, you did. You said it should be written both in words and in figures.
Well, I was just testing your memory. So sometimes the amount written in words is different from what is written in figures. When this oversight happens, the bank refuses to honor the check.
Very interesting.
And don't take a check that is dirty or torn to the bank and expect to get your money because you won't.
Oh my, why?
Because such a check is considered to be illegible.
Wow, I didn't know that there are so many reasons why a check can be dishonored.
I'm not done yet. The owner of the account, the drawer, can also ask the bank not to pay the check, thus resulting into the cancellation of payment. A drawer may also be sending the payee to an account that has already been closed. In that case, the bank won't have any way of providing payment.
Too bad for the payee.
Yes. Have you ever opened a bank account?
Obviously not. I don't even have a national identity card.
Kidding. When one opens a bank account, the bank tells them to put down their signature without making any errors.
Yes.
Now, this signature will be stored in the bank and will be used as a reference point for all the signatures the account holder will make in the future. This signature is known as a specimen signature.
Go on.
When a check is brought to the bank by the payee, the signature in the check must be matched to the specimen signature. If not, then the check is dishonored.
Wow. So there is no room for forgery.
Correct. And if the check has any alterations, it must be countersigned, failure to which the check will be dishonored.
So the drawer must acknowledge that the changes were made voluntarily.
Yes. If the drawer has been declared bankrupt or insane, that too passes as a reason for the check to be dishonored.
What does it mean to be bankrupt?
Simply put, a bankrupt person does not have any money to pay his debtors. So such a person definitely has no money in the bank to pay out. By the way, if the drawer died and the bank got to know about it, any check written by him is dishonored.
That's self-explanatory.
Finally, do not present a stale check to a bank and expect to be paid. Before you ask, a stale check is one that is presented to the bank after 6 months.
Thanks for the explanation. After hearing all the reasons why a check can be dishonored, I am actually left wondering whether payment via check is good at all.
There are situations that specifically require a check payment. You want to hear about them?
Sure.
Well, when the amount involved is large, a check would do better than cash or any other means of payment. Some businesses have their policies stating that they only accept check payment. Sometimes, the check is the only means of payment available. And finally, you can use checks to avoid risks associated with any other means of payment.
I see. We have been talking about other means of payment, yet so far I only know about cash and check.
In that case, why don't we talk about money order?
I have never heard of them.
Actually, it is a paper document just like a check. The person who wants to make the payment via money order first buys the money order with cash. He then fills the forms specifying who will receive the funds.
This way, nobody can just steal the money order and get the funds.
That's right. So the person who wants to make the payment via money order then fills the forms at the post office and deposits the money to be paid. The recipient will then identify themselves once they receive the money order before they are paid the amount.
Sounds fun. I like the fact that you don't have to have a bank account to use a money order.
No, you don't. Just like a check, you should know exactly when to use money order.
I'm listening.
Where it is the only means of payment available, or where it is the policy of the business, or where using money order will reduce the risk associated with other means of payment.
Sounds familiar.
Next, we have a postal order.
How is that any different from money order?
Well, I expected you to ask. Both of them use the post office, but for a postal order, they come in different denominations, e.g. 200, 100, 40, or 10. The sender will then buy different denominations totaling to the amount he wants the recipient to receive, and then send them to his recipient.
Let me guess. Upon receiving the denominations, the recipient goes to the post office to cash them.
You're right. However, there is a risk involved. They can be stolen, and if they are stolen, then the person who ought to get the money won't get it.
Which brings us to circumstances where postal orders are appropriate.
Yes.
I know the drill. They should be used when the amount is small so as to avoid serious losses in case they are stolen. Use them where it is the only means of payment available, or where it is the policy of the business, or where you want to avoid risks associated with other means of payment.
Well done. Let us look at postage terms, which is another means of payment through the post office.
The usual postage stamps?
Yes, they are used to pay small debts. So they can be used to post letters, or there can be claims of money of equivalent amount from the post office.
I see. Hey, can I have a minute? I need to ask my dad something.
Sure, I'll grab the chance to organize some documents.
Okay.